Hey, this is Jim at Broadfield. Thanks for joining us for another Broadfield Liquid Lunch and Learn every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. You will see in the corner of my screen that we are being joined this week by Jeremy Morris from NewTek. Hey, Jeremy, how are you?
Hey, Jim, how are you?
I'm doing excellent. Hey, this is Jim at Broadfield. Thanks for joining us. I want to let everyone know that if you are watching us live on LinkedIn right now, you can go to our Broadfield page at broadfield.live, and you can join us not only by watching the video feed there, but also participate in some of the engagement tools that we have available now, courtesy of Digital Joy Events. We are using Digital Joy Events to show off our interactive chat engine. And please, 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 if you have questions throughout our presentation today, ask them here on the chat so I can ask Jeremy while we have him. You're going to get a much smarter answer from this guy than you're going to get it from me. Jeremy, before we get into the show, I had to thank you and the NewTek team for providing the liquid lunch portion for today's show, and that is the NewTek Ultra High Energy Drink.
You're welcome for that. Sadly, I can't find mine after I packed up and moved, but I do have my custom NewTek mug. Of course, I've got lemonade in this right now.
Nice.
But yeah, I am participating in the liquid lunch portion.
Have you tried the energy drink?
Yes, I have multiple times.
It is very, very sweet.
It's got a unique taste to it. Yeah, but it's definitely fun on some of those long days that we get.
Absolutely. I'm hoping I don't need the energy portion of it for today's show. Hopefully, we're not going to bore our dealers to death where we're all trying to stay awake and sucking these things down, you know. Our goal is to really introduce CaptureCast, to kick into a little bit of a demo. And we're doing that all with Jeremy from NewTek joining us to highlight the brand new NewTek CaptureCast. Jeremy, before we start talking about the product, I'd like to give you the opportunity, first of all, to introduce yourself to any dealers who may not have had the experience of working with you. But then I also want to highlight some of the workflow and the things that we pulled together to bring you into this show. So let's start with the introduction. Jeremy, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Thank you so much. So yes, I'm Jeremy Morris, Senior Sales Engineer with NewTek. I'm currently based in Sonoya, Georgia. Was in Maryland for the last 16 years, but we moved south. Originally from Indiana, so I do have a wide geography of experience in territories and things like that, and dealing with different individuals, different clients. CaptureCast is one of the things that I'm kind of tasked with, kind of bring to the dealer side. But my experience runs the gamut: houses of worship, large products, large projects with corporate AV, sporting events. Pretty much anything NewTek can do, we can put it into a vertical market. We've had great success doing so.
That's great. And I'm glad to see the new places coming together. You even have photos hanging on the wall behind you. This is all great stuff. So, Jeremy, you're down in Georgia. We're actually going to access the CaptureCast, which is in NewTek HQ in San Antonio, Texas. And we're bringing you into our studio here in New York. Can you tell us a little bit about all the different technology we have hooked up making this all happen?
Sure thing. So like you said, I'm based here in Sonoya, Georgia. So I'm coming in from my camera through Live Call Connect and the TC2 that you guys have in New York. So that's where the video is coming from. And then secondary from the presentation source and what we're doing from the CaptureCast side is we've got demo gear that's based in our headquarters in San Antonio. And I'm actually using NewTek Bridge, our NDI Bridge, to connect up the different sites. So I'm bridging into that system in Texas, and I'm also sharing that bridge with you guys, so then you have a direct pipeline back to that content that I'm sharing remotely from Texas and controlling it from Georgia.
And this is what the future of all this technology is really designed to do. It allows you to offer all of your customers this IP remote workflow where the physical location is becoming less and less important with every production you put out. Jeremy, I'm going to add one other element that we are bringing in for today's show, and that's the audience element. So we're taking from the TriCaster that we have in the studio, we're streaming out live to LinkedIn Live, but also to our own event platform at broadfield.live. On that event platform, we actually have engagement tools from Digital Joy, where we're going to be throwing up some surveys on your left-hand side. We do ask that you answer those questions and give us some feedback. And then we have the Q&A on the right-hand side. So as we start getting into the CaptureCast, I am sure some of those questions will start popping up. Jeremy, as much as I love you, brother, the real star of today's show is the CaptureCast. So what exactly is the CaptureCast?
So this is an area that we kind of jumped into at the first of the year. NewTek did acquire the Katura product line, which includes CaptureCast. So this is the lecture capture space. This is doing capturing from traditional lecture halls that are going on inside corporate events or higher education, legal training, things like that, where that industry is kind of niche to a lot of our current dealers. And so adding this product to our existing portfolio really expands out the dealer outreach and the capabilities, and might be some sources of revenue that they haven't really tapped into before. And the way we redesigned this box, it's an all NDI ecosystem now. So what we're able to do is acquire all these various sources from a room, cameras, overhead projectors, laptops, whatever, even using our Sparks. They can then convert a lot of signals into NDI, get that into the CaptureCast product, lay it out with templates, set up some recording, interface with calendars, a lot of cool features that we'll get into here in a minute. And then we're able to upload that to various locations. So we do play well with others in that space, whether or not that's Kaltura, Panopto, OpenCast. There's a bunch of different ones out there, Blackboard. We can interface with a lot of traditional LMS environments in the higher ed space, but then we can also do with streaming platforms as well. So if you are doing live events, you have that direct capture, that direct ingest, but then you can also feed that out to a wide variety of options, YouTube Live and things like that, where now a different audience can engage with that product, and also from a VOD perspective. And we'll get into those slides and the capability of what we're doing with the box, and then how do we get it out to the mass audience for consumption.
Absolutely. And you already mentioned higher education, but technology like this really plays into a lot of different applications and a lot of different customers. And that's what we're looking at here. Jeremy, I think one of the things that you and I spoke about before the show is how there are some great opportunities with municipalities and some of the stuff that they're doing and that they will be able to do with stuff like the CaptureCast. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So yeah, especially on the municipality side, that's definitely a growing area of interest, because so many are taking all their standard meetings and putting them online.
Yep.
So now we have a great tool to now interface with that. So some of the smaller rooms that can also be used with, the main council chambers. But if you've got different events that are going on, you've got liquor board, you've got zoning board, you've got so many other areas that might have to be involved with a live production, so to speak. It's just a camera. It's the audio that's being recorded. That's fine. That can go into one stream. Now have a direct ingest procedure for that can feed into, that's either embedded into their main website, or that's going onto their county page or whatever else. So that content is now being stored locally plus distributed, and it doesn't really affect what's going on from the main council chambers area. Because we have seen that where a lot of times we get those calls like, hey, we have to do multiple meetings simultaneously. I have one TriCaster. How do I pull this off? Well,
Absolutely.
We can kind of do that with the internal portions of the TriCaster, but now we can add an extra box to the mix that can handle a lot of extra that heavy lifting. So you don't have to have that live engagement, that live operator control everything from one location.
No, absolutely. That's great. And I think higher education is the obvious application. The municipalities we talked about. I also think there's a lot of corporate applications, especially with workflows and teams going remotely, with people working from home, with people, closing down different offices and going to different business models. One of the biggest questions that we are facing in today's world is, how do we continue the communication? And part of continuing that communication is continuing the live communication and being able to bring in different people from different parts to either give the next keynote address, video training on a new product announcement, marketing content. All of these different things play very well into a solution like the CaptureCast. And it also highlights that NDI technology that NewTek is using, because now this is really one of the first lecture capture appliances, LMS, CMS systems that isn't completely attached to the amount of hardware IOs of the video sources that you're bringing into it. So Jeremy, tell us a little bit more about that remote workflow and NDI technology and how it makes all that happen.
So you brought up a good point, physically attached to devices. Now that we're on the network, that kind of decentralizes a lot of that production and reduces all that extra cabling. Yes, stuff happens inside that room, but now that room can connect up via network back to the CaptureCast box across the standard, school network or whatever. The other cool thing we can do inside CaptureCast is we can actually support 3 rooms simultaneous. So if you think about from a enterprise level, or how am I going to flexible space, I've got different rooms that come up at different times. We can utilize the calendar feature that's built into the box. People can sign into different rooms and activate these templates. So say one room is taken down for maintenance, or there's an unscheduled meeting, so another teacher can go to a different conference, log in, and set that up and set that recording. They changed rooms, but to the system, it doesn't care. It's still outputting the way it normally would. So that does give you a lot of flexibility into that workflow environment of how am I going to do my lecture? How am I going to do my education, my streaming, whatever, when I don't really have direct access? Well, now we can give you that. We give you the flexibility and the capability of changing it. So not only am I doing the direct recording of everything going on in the meeting,
right,
we have the capability of sharing out just the main feed, but also inside our templates, we can take multiple sources. So if you've got a room that's doing some demonstrations, you may have different camera angles. We can also accept and record those multiple camera angles. Now we have, that choose your own layout, if you will, to where when you're consuming that content, you're rewatching that video, you can switch camera angles on your own because all of those feeds were provided to you at initial recording. Then on the enrichment side, what are we going to do with just a standard talking head lecture? In college, I was bored to death with a lot of those things. The fact that now we have searching capabilities, we can go back and say, okay, I need to find what they were talking about because I kind of fell asleep during this one part. I need to go back and look. Well, I can actually do that through that enrichment process, search that metadata and find the content that's necessary. The instructor doesn't have to upload their content to the system afterwards either. So it's actively scanning it to figure out where things are at. So part of that workflow and that capability of, what did I miss? I can go back and rewatch some of these things and find it a lot easier. In a 4-hour lecture, that's a lot to scrub through. Now we can find that and do that. And also on the automation side, we talked about from the calendar perspective, you walk in the room, it can interface with iCal, it can interface with the scheduling service. So at some point, you may just walk into the room and the room will start recording automatically because it's already set to do so. So that's some of the things we'll get into and once we start showing the interface off. But just the automation aspect of it does make it a lot easier to operate the system, and you don't have to have live operators to do it every single time. So that's kind of where we're going with a lot of this stuff and the capabilities, to make the box not only headless where it just sits in a rack somewhere, but now I can access it from wherever I need to, from an admin level. I can set different permissions, a lot of cool stuff in this box. And as you can tell, I'm going to talk about it forever and ever and ever.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you touched on all the key subjects of what the CaptureCast is capable of doing. And there are a ton of features built into it that really enable all of these different things, from the multi-stream recording capability to the different workflows and automations and things that you can play into. If there are any features on this slide that you'd like to highlight before we get into the demo, let's go ahead and do that. I know one that I find really interesting is the presentation extraction.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was talking about before, where you don't have to upload after the fact. So if they forget or they're running on their own device, they just do the BYOD, they're like plugging their laptop into a Spark. So then I take that NDI script signal into CaptureCast. Well, it's an HDMI output. That's not a USB transfer. That data isn't stored normally. Now we do it with that scanning feature. So now that becomes part of the metadata and the enrichment in the template afterwards is all that presentation documentation sources. The other thing on the NDI side, it does accept 8 NDI inputs. So it's across the network, 8 full bandwidth NDI or 6 NDI HX. So that also gives us the flexibility of taking a Spark, which is full bandwidth NDI, or taking the output of an HX camera. I can combine that into one room. Okay, so now that takes up a couple sources. Yep. Now I can use a couple other sources for another room. So that's how we can do that multiple room simultaneous feature by just taking advantage of the various NDI inputs that are available on the network.
Excellent. And Angelo, that's the answer to your question right there. So yes, it does support both NDI and NDI-HX capability. Because of the horsepower required for the NDI-HX, you're going to get a little bit less. So Jeremy, you said it was 6 NDI-HX or 8 full HX, NDI.
Correct. 8 full bandwidth NDI or 6 HX. Yep.
Okay. Awesome. Perfect. Why don't we fire up a little bit of a demo and show off CaptureCast and show off what our dealers can actually do with these systems for their customers?
Sure thing.
And again, this is coming at you live from San Antonio, Texas, where the CaptureCast is up and running. And Jeremy is bringing that into his system in Georgia, which is then coming in here in New York. So we got a lot of technology making this happen. This is called NewTek Movie Magic.
And I'm not even doing virtual sets here. So on CaptureCast and on the main dashboard, like we said, this is network access. So this is sitting on the box in the rack somewhere, anywhere it's available to the network. And I just log in with the credentials that I've set up from an admin account. So the main system dashboard, I can set up a quick capture or deal with the scheduling aspect. We mentioned that before. So that would just be set up a quick capture. I can name it whatever I want to. Pick a template. So the templates are the layouts. This is what's going to be seen on the screen when you're actually doing the recording. So I can pick a various template. I can add some text on the tag side, and then I can set up a duration and then set up a quick capture. This can be done however you want to. The admin can do it. You can set up user accounts for the teachers, lecturers, or whatever to set up their own ad hoc recordings. No big deal. But the horsepower is basically in the scheduling aspect of it. When we talk about scheduling, anything that's available from a calendar perspective, I can upload this. So I can create an event through the calendar. I can upload something with, just the standard iCal, or I can interface with actual scheduling service. So inside our main setup, I can schedule blackout dates. So the room doesn't automatically record on Labor Day or Memorial Day or Christmas. I can set that up ahead of time. On the device side, what's available on the network? Again, we talk about accessing NDI sources. Well, anything that's available on the local network, I can scan and find that. However, you may have 30 some odd sources, but you only care about 2 of them. Well, that's fine. I can come in here and make favorites of those NDI devices. So when I go back to create my user template, I already know based on the devices that are available to me, I don't have to rescan the network every single time. So on the template side, there's one in here right now. I'll mess with Justin. He's one of our engineers out of Texas. So I'll kind of edit one of the ones he's already played with. So on the template, again, like I said, this is what's being seen on the recording. So you want to make sure you understand, the canvas layout. If I'm doing a lot of PIP images, is that image going to overlap with the content? So then I can update and change that. So then I can resize the windows, the camera source versus the background image. All that's available inside the canvas. What sources am I using? So again, here's all the ones that are already available. Like we talk about the rescan, if you need to add or delete anything. Publishing. This is where this recording is going to go. Again, for the most part, everything's going to be started on the box. And then from there, from CaptureCast, it goes out to the rest of the world. So here's where we have our interface with Kaltura and OpenCast, Panopto, FTP sites. If you're doing a lot of shared storage across a large campus, you can FTP this content straight to that repository and handle it there. Our plugins for Vimeo and YouTube, Google Drive. So like I said, we do play well with others. There's a lot here we can deal with on the publishing side. And this also works on the live stream as well. So not only can I publish to a VOD or an LMS service, I can do live stream at the same time. So now I'm live streaming out, just like you do with the TriCaster. You input your credentials and off you go. The enrichment, this is where things can really get fun. The enrichment allows for a lot of cool feature sets. This goes back to that screen change, the optical character recognition. We also have a way to interface with like an AWS server or something like that for direct speech to text. So now we've got that capability of doing that scan line and actually seeing the text of what's been said through the entire lecture. So on the enrichment side, there's a lot of cool stuff we're able to do. And then on the summary, that kind of gives you the update of what's going on. We don't have anything set for publishing or live streaming because I don't want to break the box just in case someone else is in the box at the same time. Because right now we just got this one demo unit in Texas that we're all kind of playing with. So I don't like to screw up my friends. Sometimes it's fun, but for today's purposes, I don't want to do that. So I'll leave his template alone because I know Justin has some stuff later on. And then manage. What are you going to do with that content later? Now I have all this in here. How do I manage it? What do I do with it? So this is stuff that's already been reported. I can go here and access various feature sets. So this is that speech to text like I was talking about. So this has been on the enrichment side. So now it's populating with that text. So now this becomes searchable. This becomes indexable. A lot of cool stuff, like I said, on that metadata. And then also if I need to delete it after the fact, it's been in here for 2 months. No one else needs it anymore. It's already been offloaded. I can come in and kind of manage and clean up the box. What else do I really want to show? Because, the web API. This is another one of my favorite aspects is control. How do we how do we control and manage this box? We can interface with a wide variety of third-party control systems, Crestron, Extron, AMX, pick your flavor. We can provide those codes and that command line to that interface. So now when you walk into a room, it not only does it do the scheduling, it can switch the cameras, it can set up the templates. Anything we provide the code to, now it's controllable. So it really does work with just about anybody's stuff. But yeah, having the access to the API is a whole lot of fun. I like it a lot. Our NewTek professional services team can be utilized as well. So if you do need to interface with this box, you've got just some other third-party system and you need the command lines or how to understand it, then yes, you can contact our NewTek professional services team and take advantage of all that knowledge and those resources.
That's great. And one of the things that you touched on there in the demo that I think is something good to point out to our dealers is that you have access to this box, as does Justin, as does the rest of the NewTek team. So if there is an opportunity for the CaptureCast, you can work directly with our dealers, with their customers, to kind of set up a demo and to show off the system, just like you did for us now.
Correct. And so that's through the NewTek dealer portal. You contact the guys at Broadfield to set that up. You can bring the clients in. And we do this through Teams or some other types of interface to allow you to actually see the box work live real time in front of you. So we don't have to put gear on the road and take it to a different event. You can log in and see this and watch it from anywhere you want to.
Once again, the beauty of IP workflows.
It's a whole lot of fun.
Jeremy, one of the questions that just came in, one of the features that we have on our live page is the ability to download documents. So I provided the CaptureCast one sheet there. Any of our dealers who are joining us can download that. It'll give you some nice info to share with your customers. The question that came in is the question that came in was actually just pointing out the one sheet. So they were saying that while watching the show, they downloaded the one sheet. They love the interactivity of the thing itself. So in doing that, let's talk about some of the other resources that NewTek has available. If you are a NewTek authorized reseller, we have access to NewTek Channeltivity. In Channeltivity is where you're going to find the one sheet like we provided with you today. You're going to find the demo videos, images, anything that NewTek has available. And even though this box is relatively new, we're going to start seeing some case studies and some interesting articles that NewTek is already working on, and those will get posted as they become available. Jeremy, one of the things that I really wanted to give you and NewTek in general props on is that this is the first product that I have seen introduced simultaneously in line with training. That's right. There's a full class available on NewTek University. So, I mean, that's just awesome to have these resources available for dealers and for end users to use to get ready for these products.
Yeah, and it's been a great tool. And, Kane does great on all of our NewTek University videos. And this was important, like you mentioned, because this kind of takes us into the AV space where NewTek products haven't really been utilized quite that effectively. We're doing that more and more. We're putting tri-captures in a lot of different areas as well. But now we've got an AV-centric product that fits that vertical market or that area, that targeted area that a lot of our dealers are going after now. But how do they operate it? How do they deal with it? So having that class available to them to become a certified operator in CaptureCast was pertinent to the whole deployment. So now you understand what we're doing from the electric capture space, because that's a huge market. It's being utilized. We showed that slide before, all the different verticals, different areas where this type of technology is being utilized. So yes, having that training available was kind of key to the whole product launch.
And the CaptureCast is going to be available through which level of NewTek dealers?
Pretty much anybody that authorized. So anything that you guys are going to offer, definitely go through the Broadfield side of the world and contact, see what makes the most sense. How does it fit into the end user experience? And so then you can go through and register the deals, just kind of like normal, or get the quote from Broadfield.
Yeah, absolutely. And Broadfield works very closely with NewTek. We can get you set up for that, Angelo. Whatever you need to do, we'll make sure that if there are opportunities in the education, corporate, municipalities, any of these different areas that would benefit from this workflow, we'll make sure we get you the proper resources that you can support your customers and get them to CaptureCast. Jeremy, the only other thing I wanted to touch upon was the CaptureCast command center. So this is going to be the vehicle that really allows you to roll out multiple CaptureCasts and to integrate even a wider workflow with more remote production capabilities.
Yeah, this is how you scale on an enterprise level. And just like the normal mantra of NewTek, the flexibility and scalability is available from all of our products. We don't force you into one type of workflow day one. You can add parts and pieces as you grow. So as you bring more rooms online, you add more CaptureCast boxes. As you add more CaptureCast boxes, now you need to be able to control them. So having Command Center now gives you that flexibility of, okay, I can, and on NDI Network, again, I've got 3 boxes on this slide that can handle 3 rooms each. Cool thing about NDI, I can route room 1 from box 1 to box 3 if necessary, if I've got to take one down for maintenance or something else happens. So sure. Because it's an all NDI workflow, now we can move things around when necessary. There's an emergency, something else has happened. I've got a whole lot of flexibility in that Command Center application now to control multiple boxes across multiple systems, multiple campuses even. All that can be scaled across the network.
And then the Command Center allows you to monitor, manage all these devices. It gives you the feedback you need to know exactly what's going on with the system. And it gives you that high level of scheduling and all that other enrichment and automation stuff that you demoed earlier.
Yeah, so the Command Center is a perfect add-on to those large-scale projects. So if you want to start small, get one box, handle the first couple of rooms, and then now you start adding more and more, then come back, add Command Center on top of everything. So that makes it a lot easier to then control all those boxes that have to go into every single box and manage each one independently. Command Center makes it a lot easier, flexible to do so.
That's awesome. And the CaptureCast is available now. It is shipping. We have them in stock. NewTek has them in stock. We can help get them onto your next quote or bid. NewTek, as they do with all of their products, does have deal registration available. Call your Broadfield sales team at 800-634-5178. We will help get you set up. We will help get all the resources you need to close those sales. Whether it's reaching out to this guy, Jeremy, or the rest of the NewTek team to pull up the CaptureCast in San Antonio and do a little bit of a demo for your customers, whether it's helping to answer questions or whether it's getting you those support materials that are available on NewTek Channeltivity or from your Broadfield sales team, give us a call. Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, my pleasure. Always, Jim.
If you have any questions about CaptureCast, give us a call. We'll reach out to NewTek. We'll make sure we get all your questions answered. And we look forward to you joining us every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for Broadfield Liquid Lunch and Learn. Until next week, cheers.
Broadfield Distributing is a value-added distributor of live production, streaming, video editing, and storage products. We only sell to resellers. We are always looking for new dealers. So call us at 1-800-634-5178 or email sales@broadfield.com. You'll like doing business with Broadfield because we make it easy to do business.